Lagos Television, the voice of Lagos.
Good morning, Lagos. Good morning, Nigeria. Welcome to the conversation this morning, 8th of July, 2024. I am Abimbola Bello.
Good morning, everyone. I am Ajibola Ojishola. How was your weekend? We are glad to be back again on the conversation.
Good morning. I am Joy Olu. Welcome to the conversation.
Okay. Just in case you're joining us for the very first time on the program, we take you through the conversation Mondays through Fridays as from 10 a.m. And we talk about everything and anything ranging from issues in Nigeria and, of course, a spotlight on Lagos, the center of excellence.
Okay, you can be part of our program this morning by using our social media handles to engage us on the show this morning. Of course, your views and, of course, contributions are very, very important to the show.
Joy, how was your weekend?
Well, it was my birthday on Saturday.
See?
So my weekend was good.
You're still smiling.
Yes.
Jibola, what does she owe you?
No, it doesn't. I don't owe him.
Do I owe you anything?
Yes, you owe me.
Probably a gift.
Okay.
Okay.
We shall see.
I'm not going to say anything. I'm out of this conversation. All right, the program today will be slightly different from the norm. Of course, today we have a big fish in the studio and whom together, Ajibola, Joy and I will be taking on issues around Lagos, especially during the rainy season where there is, of course, attendant issues around flooding as well as loads of buildings marked for demolition. Why do we have to go through this route? Of course, we do have the Honorable Commissioner for the Environment and Water Resources who will be our guest on the program today. You'll meet him after this short break. A warm welcome back onto the program. It's still the conversation here on Lagos Television, the very first edition for the week, the Monday edition of the program. We did tell you before that short break that today's program will be slightly different from the norm. And that is because we have a guest here today who will be taking us through some of the major activities of one of the most prominent ministries in the Lagos State Civil Service here, talking about the Ministry of Environment and Water Resources. It is raining, and of course many people are particular about the activities of this ministry in the city of Lagos. And once you hear about the ministry, what comes to mind first is probably demolition of buildings. But I'm sure, of course, this ministry has other responsibilities that it is saddled with. All of that we hope to hear from the Honorable Commissioner for the Environment and Water Resources today, Tokunbo. Wahab, thank you for being here on the program today.
Thank you for having me.
Let's start this way. A lot of people, of course, they're familiar with the word environment, but not many are familiar with water resources. And so many will ask, water resources, environment, what do you do with water resources?
Okay, thank you very much, and good morning, Lagosians.
Good morning.
Good morning, Jibola. Good morning, my sister. The Ministry of Environment and Water Resources is about the biggest ministry in the state. Under the ministry, you have the Lagos State Waste Management Authority to take care of municipal solid waste. Then you have the LASWAMO to take care of our liquid waste. Then you have LASA, Advertising Agency Regulator. Then you have LASPAC, Parks and Gardens. Then you have Lagos State Water Corporation. That is the big elephant. And then you have LASWACO, that's the Regulatory Commission. And then you have, there's one more. Then you have the enforcement arm, that they used to call KAI. So these agencies make up a leg of the ministry,
Right.
Office of Environmental Services. Then you now have the drainage services. Under drainage services, you have other agencies like you have the DEC, the enforcement unit. You have the design and planning units. You have the FAG and maintenance
The drainage
desk.
clearing.
So this is the whole gamut of what makes up the Ministry of the Environment and Water Resources.
Water resources.
So you can't really separate water from environment. And let me also try and clarify it. We don't demolish properties in the ministry. The enabling law allows us to remove that's the operative word, remove every form of contravention on the canal or the right of way or even on the setback that will inhibit the flow of storm water, rainwater. And Lagos being a coastal state, we have an existential challenge. We are slightly above the sea level. And it means if it rains heavily, the sea level, the lagoon level will be up.
Right.
No matter the super infrastructure you have in place, the resilient infrastructure to discharge, it will take a while for such to discharge if the discharging outlet is the lagoon or the sea. So you have to hold back a bit, and then you have flash or ponding, which means for some minutes or about an hour or two, the water will not be able to discharge until that sea or tidal level goes down, and then it discharges. So that's about what it's about. So we go from taking care of the environment, sanitary issues, enlightenment and advocacy, to the hard environmental issues like water, drainage services. So the whole gamut is what we handle in the Ministry of Environment and Water Resources.
Okay, Honorable Commissioner, NIMET had warned at the beginning of the year that the rainfall for this year is going to be quite intense. And of course, we also what happened last week, Wednesday. People were panicky, and of course, you told them to calm down. I just want to know what are the short-term, mid-term, and long-term plan of the ministry in preparing for this huge rainfall that we are going to have this year.
Now, let me start by saying, NIMET warning came based on what we all had discussed over time. Global warming is real. Climate change issues are real and they are here to stay. And like President Obama did say, we are the first generation that feels the impact of climate change, and we are about the last generation that have the responsibility to fix it. And we can't afford not to fix it. So when the announcement was made, we have been interfacing with NIMET. We had a press conference and we started a very strong advocacy, telling our citizens that if you are in the low-lying area, you have to prepare to move out because this rain this year will be much. On our part also, we didn't stop at the advocacy level. We ramped up our drainage clearance project and we ramped up provision of resilient drainage infrastructure, which was also giving us the comfort to say to Lagosians last week, calm down. This storm water will ease out within, I even gave a time within an hour or two. That was based on what we had done in the past few months in the ministry, preparing for this. And on the long term, a lot of other approaches have to come into play. One of them is advocacy. Advocacy that goes beyond even the drainage construction system. That goes to why we had to ban styrofoam. To tell people that styrofoams are non-biodegradable materials. And they clog the waterway, they clog the aquatic life. They are destructive to us, even our health are in danger. To let people take ownership of it. To also tell our citizens that, look, you have to understand that global warming is real. Climate change issues are here to stay. Hence, take ownership of your environment. Hence, we say to them, see something, say something. Don't let your neighbor become an impediment to your environment. Once you see them do what is wrong, like discharging their waste into the drainage system, blow a whistle. Let us put them or push back at those kind of elements in the system. These are issues that are both short-term, medium-term, and long-term. As a state, what I will give to this governor and his deputy, and even the House members, they've taken the issue of the environment so seriously, to the extent that they don't like starving the ministry of anything that it requires, even if it means the assembly going beyond to give them the approval they require. They do it. The assembly has done that for us. So we'll keep ramping up the infrastructure to provide secondary and primary resilient infrastructure for storm and rainwater. To also keep dredging the canals, because that's a continuous process. Don't forget, Lagos is sitting on 3,577 square kilometers of land. But it's housing 22 million people, for God's sake. That's 10% of the population of the country are in this small space. And a third of this space is water. So we need to contend with that. We need to contend with the environmental issues you throw up, like air pollution, noise pollution, and all sorts. These are waste disposal, which we are fixing as we speak. We've taken very proactive, deliberate steps to fix those things.
All right, John?
Still talking about waste disposal, something happened last week. Someone blew the whistle, on X, and we saw that that house was sealed. So for those who are not aware, I want us to address the issue of illegal dumping of waste product. What are the penalties for violators?
Thank you. The Lagos State Waste Management Authority does have some powers. But those powers are not just vested on them from the heavens. It was vested on them by the enabling law of 2017. They can fine you, but they won't fine you whimsically. They have to take you before a constituted judicial arm, the magistrate. So the magistrate will take ownership of the process and determine how culpable you are. And that also speaks to the issue of civility in the system. So once there are laws and there are infractions, there must be consequences. You see, people don't seem to understand why we are going on this path as a ministry. Developments are born out of deliberate actions. People need to understand that once you don't have consequences for bad behavior, we are treading towards an Obasian state, where life becomes nasty, brutish, and short. where people just wake up and do whatever they want. That impedes development. I've seen people speak in all sorts of poetry, sweet words, but this is governance. Governance is tough. You have to take very tough decisions. And show me a country that gets to be developed without law and order. There's none. So I said to those people that likes the political whistleblowing and demagoguery, that wait for elections in the next 3 years. You can do whatever you want. But let us govern the state so you can have a place to come and campaign in 3 years' time. You can do your campaigns in poetry, but governance is grounded in prose. It's grounded in very, very tough, hard decisions. If you allow everybody to throw their waste into the drainage paths, it's a recipe for self-destruction. So why must we allow it?
Let's go back to after that rain last week Wednesday. I think on Thursday, of course, you had appeared on a few stations, and you were categorical about the fact that you had to apologize to Lagosians about issues surrounding flooding on Wednesday. So so now the question is, you took responsibility for what had happened in some of the areas, while some people had also said the government is not going about removing illegal structures the appropriate way, terming it as being political or otherwise. So let's marry that apology with the attitude of Lagos residents, as well as people not also wanting to take charge when they err under the law.
You can't make the omelette without breaking the egg. You can't. It's totally impossible. Something must give.
Right.
If you've had people that have been brazen through the years, brazen to do things that are not right, and believing the day of reckoning would never come. The day of reckoning comes, they will push back. They won't fold their hands.
Okay.
They are entrenched members of the society too. What happened last week was quite unfortunate. Nature will be nature. Even with the best of infrastructure you had put in place, when nature chooses to take its course, it will.
Right.
What you can do is to mitigate the damages. And that mitigation will not come overnight. It will have come based on what you have prepared
Before then.
to ease up whatever the impact of nature will be. I said to people, I say, flooding doesn't know your tribe. It doesn't know your creed. It doesn't know your religion. Neither will flooding know your language or your tongue. Flooding is a cause of nature. Australia is going through so much in the past few hours. I had to send a message out there that, look, I feel your pain in Austria. It's nature. Let us take ownership.
Okay.
Dubai had a very bad impact
Right.
towards the end of last year. Brazil lost lives. Kenya lost so many lives. Southern Florida has been ravaged with so much flooding. This is global warming implications, and we're feeling it. We have a choice to behave the ostrich by saying it's not real, it's government. I won't go that part. So the apology flows from a point of, look, Lagosians, we're sorry your lives were disrupted for some few hours. That is taking ownership. That's why I owe Lagosians.
Right.
That's what my principal and his deputy owe Lagosians. And we now have to explain why those disruptions happened for a few hours. And then reassure them. It wasn't based on lack of planning. It was just based on the fact that this happened because of this intensity of the rainfall for 10 non-stop hours.
Okay.
But we won't stop at that. We now have to ramp up and see where we failed.
Right.
We failed in some areas. We failed in the area of messaging. Maybe we could have done better ramping up our advocacy and our messaging.
Okay.
Like they say in Yoruba, "Kokoko no man dafa aditi." You have to let people know that this thing is real. Maybe we failed in the area of intelligence also. But at the end of the day, we did all we could. And I will still give it to the ministry and the staff, the 518 members of EFAG, for being on ground from 4 a.m. Those are the men that will always be out there in the rain, in the storm, and they're always digging deep. So that's the point we came in for with the apology. Now, for those playing the politics, I'm not into their politics for them. I won't even give them the energy. I won't even give them the hair. I don't have that time. We've got work to do. We've got Lagosians to serve. And in as much as we know what they are doing, they are dog whistling.
Right.
Believing, oh, these removals are against a certain tribe. I don't know those things. I don't even want to know them. And for their information, when we chose to open up System 44, Ikota from Mobile or Gombo down to the Ikota Creek, it was based on a petition by 12 villages that were moved and relocated from Morocco. We chose to do it because it was an essential challenge for them. Those villages were perpetually flooded. And we went there, we saw wickedness and man inhumanity to man.
Right.
Developers had blocked, they had obliterated a canal to something so small that it won't even take the discharge of water. And we had choices to make. And that's where governance comes in. In the course of making those choices, our party members were affected. A serving chairman of my party in the local government lost 6 houses.
Oh, wow.
6. Because he built on the right of way of System 44.
Okay. All right. I love the fact that this government is taking ownership for some of those things that government did not put in place before the raining season. But my question will be, what can we do as Lagosians to help this government in achieving some of its environmental goals and targets? And is it the attitude of the people that is making the government of the day to bring back the monthly sanitation exercise?
Good. As a people, let us start by saying to ourselves, how do you see your environment? Ask yourself every day. When both of our most populous religions, Christianity and Islam, preaches cleanliness.
So godliness.
Next to godliness. How are we replicating that in our day-to-day living? That is the first point we have to clarify. If the feedback from each and every one of us is honest enough, we'll realize that we lost it somewhere. Bringing back the environmental sanitation basically is not just because of that. It's because we think it's high time Lagos brings back that culture of people being aware that it behoves you to fix your home and take care of the tertiary drainage in front of your house or property. Once we start imbibing that culture, like they have imbibed it in the market areas every Thursday, we start ramping up cleanliness as per our environment. It's also bring back that culture and that consciousness into our people. And it's the least we can do as a state. That it took us this while was because there was a misconception and there was a judgment against the state. Yeah. But it was not the case. The judgment was actually in favor of the state. So we're on the right track to do that. And you see, when you have a city that is growing daily with influx of people, they are coming with a different culture. Let them know the culture of what they are coming to meet. And that matters a lot. We should not allow it be what our parents call Iruwa Giriwa. It's a recipe for confusion. And that's what we're trying to push back on. Take ownership. See something, say something. Clean your environment. Help the government to help you, because at the end of the day, you are the taxpayers. If you don't destroy your environment, the fund that is going to be used to fix your drainage will be used to give you more infrastructure, maybe in form of hospitals or even in form of high-borne water somewhere else. That's the opportunity cost they must start saying. That's the scale of preference. They must start know that the government have to do a scale of preference. for instance, it's cause and effect. If you don't fix your environment, the chances are the hospitals will be filled with sick people.
Sorry, Joy, before you take your next question, let me just build on what Ajibola asked you concerning the monthly environmental sanitation exercise. What format will it take this time around? Will it still be like it was the cancelled format, or will this be a revamped and a renewed one, and how will this go?
Can you just let the governor know?
Okay, so we can keep that on that wrap until Mr. Governor launches it.
Governor launches it the next few days.
All right, okay.
Okay, so you raised some salient points, answering Ajibola's question. So how do we, or how does your ministry intend to engage community members, especially those at the grassroots, to drive this point that you have just raised concerning building a culture of taking care of the environment?
In fairness to the ministry, they're doing so much. But like I said to the PRO and the team, you can't still drop the ball until you get the result. It's a journey. You're on the path and the trajectory to achieve a goal. So you have to keep ramping up. It's not just too much. It may not be enough. So keep ramping up your capacity in terms of advocacy, in terms of collaboration with CDA, CDCs, in terms of one-on-one engagements. And I'll give it to them that they're doing so much of that. Even the Ministry of Information is doing so much more. But on our part, let's keep driving and digging deep. You see, people also tend to listen to what they want to listen to. Until this rain happened last week, Wednesday, all the messaging around the rain this year will be very heavy. People just choose to wave it aside. Until the end of last week, all the messaging around global warming and climate issues are real. The rains may come, there will be flash flooding. People will tell you no.
Until
they saw it.
Real life.
And one thing I also take away from last week was the fact that you didn't find a lot of styrofoam in the storm water.
Flowing.
Yeah.
So that means water was flowing.
There's progress.
Which means we have ticked the box, but we're not dropping the ball. Because some places are still smuggling styrofoam into the state.
The country.
We won't stop. We need to let our people know that we're in this together. And like the Yorubas will say, what about you? So we have to do it together to achieve a common good for the sake of Lagos State. Yes.
Right. As we look at the facts that everyone is culpable here, or everyone has a responsibility here to ensure that the environment is clean, and part of what you've talked about here is the fact that the ministry has laws backing it up from removing illegal structures from, some of these impediments. Have you also found out that perhaps government agencies could also be complacent? Because again, sometimes when people build, you ask yourself the question, how did they get here? Who sold the land to them? Where did they get the permits? So have you at any point in time also found either local government officials or other sister agencies culpable in this situation? If you have, are you also working as a government to ensure that some of these things are also nipped in the bud, so we stop those things from happening rather than removing structures that have been built?
Thank you. Truth be told, most of them don't have approvals. Most of them don't have approvals. And I've been calling them out that if you have an approval,
show your approval.
Show your approval or take us to court. You see, I will still also exonerate one or two lapses. It happens. For the 12 that were chosen by Christ on the lane of the Holy Ghost, there was a Judas. So that you can't excuse.
Right.
But the truth is, when people choose to break the law, they'll do everything to break the law. What we need to now do, let there be consequences for such actions. If in breaking or causing that breach, you think a public servant is culpable, let us know. There is a very robust system in place under the civil service rules to take care of that. But what I found out so far is that these persons, for reasons best known to them, choose not to come the route of approvals.
Okay.
If they come the route of approvals, they also choose to circumvent the process, which was what happened in the case of Mendevilla. Okay. You applied, but you chose to circumvent the process. All the requirements of your professional approvals were saying, ensure you have a setback between this and this point. You choose not to. Now, years down the road, the consequences came. And the law had to take its course.
Right.
But until the lion learns to tell his story, everybody will believe the story of the hunter. The government was never going to wake up and whimsically destroy people's property. No, it's not going to work. But when people know what they have done is wrong, one, and they chose to also stand and grandstand against the law. And we had explained this thing over time. I didn't start the process for Mendevilla, for instance. My predecessor in office, Satunji Bello, did. I had meetings with them, several meetings. But what did we find out? They would go to the media to start blackmailing. And then the flooding was getting worse. As the time we took over this process, it was a matter of how do we message and let them know that we can't continue on this path. We had a meeting with them. They were led into my office by the Honorable Member of Lagos Assembly, representing Kushofe constituency, Honorable Okola
Osoni.
He said, yeah, it's recorded. And we said to everybody, look at this part of this Odo Yalaro. You all met Odo Yalaro here. This thing was created in 1974 by General Mobolade Johnson. How will you now tell the states that after encroaching on the wetland and the green area, that you are even taking the part of System 1 that is left? Arewo Jobe, Mende, Sholui, Bagada, Ogudu Orioke, from Ogba, gets to discharge through System 1.
That's a lot.
So how do we manage it? It's either we choose to cherry pick enforcement and let the rains and the flood come and affect 22 million Lagosians. Because that's the most strategic of all our systems, System 1. And you've encroached on it. And then you chose to play politics of tribe and dog whistling with it. And the question I asked myself was, what have we done wrong here? Your papers were not even correct. They were the system. In a good climate, that you charge you to court.
You should actually be charged to court.
And who says we should not be doing that? Who says we should not be doing that?
Are we going to get to that level where people will begin to pay for deeds to the state?
We are getting there very soon.
Okay.
We are getting there very soon. Once they know there are consequences,
Right.
they will start changing their behaviors. And let us also be careful, because these persons are deemed to be big men in society. Let us start making examples of those big men. You see, the not so big men will fall in line.
They'll comply.
Okay.
Right, they will.
On the Themes Plus agenda of Mr. Governor, health and environment, they are together. And now we are dealing with the outbreak of cholera. Of course, poor sanitation is one of the things that could cause cholera. So I want to know how the ministry is working together with the Ministry of Health to at least assist the state government in battling with this cholera outbreak.
I think when the Themes Plus agenda was drawn up, it was not a mistake that health and environment married together. And it's cause and effect. If your environment is not in good state, the health leg of it feels the impact more. And that's what happened here. And I'm going to give it to the Ministry of Health and the Honorable Commissioner of my Professor Kabayomi, for the wonderful collaboration we've been having with respect to this outbreak. Before the outbreak, we've been working together collaboratively because we have to work together for the sake of the state. But the outbreak gave us more and much more embedded, strengthened relationship. From La Cepa, where a lot of testing were done in the labs, to Loma, to Laswamo, that's wastewater management authority, and then Water Corporation. And also some of our key agencies, the drainage office, and then sanitation departments. We work together with them, then with our health officers, to ensure that we ramp up advocacy. We also work on the water delivery, quality of water delivery, and the lab test results to know where and where the outbreaks were coming from, what could have led to it. So as they're treating the effect, we're also handling the cause to stem down the tide. So working collaboratively with them, and then we also take ownership where we have to. The government has given us a mandate, and the mandate is we must get water production ramped up to full capacity to Lagos within the next few months.
Okay, aside from water now, what about public toilets and of course open defecation, which is a major problem?
I'm coming to that. Also, the Executive Council has approved building between 100 and 150 public toilets. The reason we are slowing back on that is we don't want. Why were the toilets built in the past? Where were they failing? What happened to them?
Water will probably be the first issue.
Water is the first issue. We don't want to be like the typical capital that sees everything as a nail. We must think outside the box.
Right.
We must find a constructive way to supply water without digging boreholes across the state. If you dig 150 boreholes, you're killing the groundwater and you're killing the environment. So, in the past few weeks, we've had engagements with experts home and abroad. My colleague, the special advisor to the governor on environment, has been on it. The director of sanitation has been on it. We're looking for a very, and then my sister, the essay to the governor, SDG, Dr. Orefini. How do we get a very constructive, not destructive way to supply and recycle the water, make it sustainable in a creative way across the state? We've done the list of the locations. We know where we have to place all those public toilets. But it's not enough to place them there. If you won't supply them water 24/7, all right, they become a failed project. And we can't afford that in Lagos. So that's what is delaying it. We've gotten the approval. In fact, I believe my colleague, the essay to the governor, Engineer Rotimi, is assiduously working on that design thing as I speak. So in the next few weeks, we should have a way out of it. But we must find a way to recycle the water that we're going to use. Treat the water so they can be self-sustaining without digging
the borehole.
Across the state. Even if I'm going to dig borehole, it's very minimal.
Okay.
Open defecation is something that has become a
No, it's a big one, and I'm glad. Let me even speak to that. The GM of LASEPA and his colleague in Ogun State are on a project in the next few days. And I think there is also a law and a regulation that says people that own eateries and those facilities, gas stations, must have public toilets to allow people to have access to them. But we won't stop at that. I know the state government is doing something about Kara in the next few weeks too. So once that is done, it eases the pressure, the Lagos can start pushing back with them to collaboratively work like we're doing in most of our projects to clean up this thing. Look, it's also bad behavior. But we don't want to stay on that narrative. Let us provide them
the alternatives.
Like we are doing to them when it comes to not crossing the highways. Use the pedestrian. It's when we now provide the alternative and you are not using it.
Then you can be prosecuted.
You can start prosecuting.
Let's quickly talk about Olushosu dump sites, because I mean, we can't have you here and not talk about that project. Those in that area at the moment are actually also calling on government to do something about that area. So what's the plan? I know years ago there was a plan to actually seal off Olushosu or probably relocate Olushosu. But what exactly is happening?
Olushosu will be decommissioned within the next 18 months.
Okay.
We call it decommissioning.
Decommissioning, okay.
And we've part of the PPP agreement we signed with Jospong for the waste to wealth projects
Right.
also entails them to decommission Olusoso. Olusoso and Solos 3.
Solos in Alimosho.
Alimosho. And that must be done within the next 18 months.
Okay.
They've sent in the expert, they've done all the tests. But in the commission, you must also find a creative way.
Right.
The options on the table, we've agreed on them, and then 18 months is the deadline for them to decommission. It's a very massive place.
It is.
And the only way to go is to decommission. I can't even speak on the health hazard. And we have to just face it and decommission it.
Okay. July 14 is just around the corner, you know, the annual tree planting in Lagos State. What are the programs lined up for this year? How many trees do we intend to plant? Beyond the ritual of planting, what are we putting in place to ensure their survival and growth after the annual ritual of tree planting?
Look, let me quote my former PAMSEC engineer, Lekon Shodendi. We are just living in a concrete jungle, most of us in Lagos. That's the honest truth. Most of us, we have abandoned the green culture. And it also speaks to why you have flash flooding or flooding in areas. When you have go to a place and the whole place is just cemented, how would the water level discharge? Well, if you have a green part of your compound, it will take the water for you. To go back to the groundwater. That is the way it should be. Now, Lagos is one of those few states, if not the only state, that has an agency for tree planting, last pack. The plan is just to go beyond. I've sat down with ourselves, said to ourselves, we need to go beyond this ritual of just July 14th. There must be a roadmap to ramp up tree planting and tree maintenance. Even the median, our green medians should come back. Our parks should be real green parks. So the plan is we plant enough trees, but how enough is enough? This era of global warming. If it's 1 million, how do we attain 1 million? There are corporates that want to do tree planting. How have we incorporated them into our own plan as a state? That is the roadmap we need to put in place, and she's going to unleash that before July 14. That's Mrs. Pokola, the GM of Flashback. But I agree with you, because it's becoming a concrete jungle.
In recent years, there has been an advancement in technology and innovation. So I'd like to know, how is the ministry leveraging on technology, to address environmental issues effectively?
Virtually all the information we are putting out there are tech-driven information. The quantum and the volume of rain is based on technology. The water level is based on technology which we have deployed to see how the water level is up, and then also using tech to disseminate information to people. Look, we've left the realm of the conventional media. You need to put the information out there in a way that people can see them even walking, moving, whatever they're doing. So there are no excuses. So can we still do much more? I'll tell you yes. The plan is in place now that we should have what we call a war room.
What's that about?
War room, like environmental room, where you monitor across. Just that's what it's for. So we can. This is what is happening here. Beyond just the debts, the water level is up here. Your energy is being encroached on, but it's a long-term project. But it's part of what we're seeking to put in our budget for next year.
So one of the places that a lot of people were surprised that got flooded last Wednesday was, of course, Olokbomiji area, just before the third mainland. Is that what has given, the ministry, the marching orders, those that have built illegal structures around the Bariga, Sholui area to take away their structures? Or did you find out? Okay.
What we found out was there's a canal, a very wide canal, discharging from Bagada into Odialaro Systems 1.
Okay.
However, in the past few weeks, we found that people are going to block the canal. They built chanties, built properties on that canal part, blocked it outrightly. So the estate residents were the ones that even blowed to the government. There's a video. Say, look, guys, come and see what they have done here.
Right.
We never used to get flooded because of the canal. So what we had to do was take ownership and say to them, there's a right of way for a canal. Kindly leave the right of way for the canal.
Okay.
There's nothing in that. If you know you have committed that infraction, we're giving you time to move your things out. Because we can't say because of some selfish members of the public will now allow innocent people not to have respite in their homes. Okay. So it was not based on Olupomeji. Olupomeji is totally different.
Right.
Olupomeji is a junction around Oworo Stretch. Right. And that was where we have the flash flood.
But was there any particular reason why that happened this time? Could that also be due to the construction of the renovation of the Third Mainland Bridge?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, it was just one of those things.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think it will be fair to allow you to go this morning without mentioning shanties in some of our communities, harboring criminals, street trading, and of course market sanitation. How effective are some of the strategy of the ministry in tackling some of these problems?
Market sanitation is top-notch, and I'll give to the market men and women, well organized across the state, and we keep engaging them. They've been so wonderful in our engagements, and even the ban of styrofoam. They've been so top-notch, working with the state government. We try to do the chanties. You see, people are emotional about some things. Certainly, the government cannot provide accommodation for them, and shanties acceptable now in a mega city? They say no. We're working with Ministry of Fiscal and Urban Planning. It's a continuous engagement, and we're removing shanties. We're removing shanties, trying because they are security risk. I like telling people this. Government is not wicked. We are government. But if you know the attendant risk that is involved in these people that are being harbored in these shanties, you'll be afraid for yourself. For those that know Dolphin Stretch very well, for those that know Bijora after National Theatre very well, until we cleared those shanties, the crime rates, traffic crime, were high, so high, that if your vehicle does have a fault, you dare not wait on those axes. You dare not. You have to bolt, leave your vehicle and just run. But now that stopped because we were proactive enough to just take ownership of those spaces, open governed spaces, and we're putting them to proper use now. But that will not still be enough. We need to let our people, that's the pretty part, let our people start taking real ownership. The sanitary conditions, it's about the people.
Right.
I have this principle I tell people. I said, I know the kind of person you are. If I come into your room and your bed is not laid, it gives me an inkling kind of person you are. The first job you have to do for me, wake up and make your bed. That's the first thing. It's non-negotiable for me. No matter how busy or how big you are. If I come in and your bed is scattered, I think you're a scattered person. Okay. So that's where I see cleanliness. It's personal. And because the state is growing every day, we also need to let people know the culture of the state as they come into the state. People are coming from all over. It's okay. But coming, let us account for you through LASRA. It's not too much. Let us know that you are coming to Lagos, you are staying here. Okay. We can plan for this area that in the next 2, 3, 4 years you'll be married. You have children. They want to go to school. We need a hospital there. We need this kind of infrastructure here. You are going to prosper. You're going to have a car. But without planning, we can't do all those things. If you come into Lagos, come in and be law-abiding. Let the state account for you. Don't come in and break the laws of the state. And you think the state's going to fold his hands. It's not going to work.
How about street trading?
There's a ban on street trading, and we're enforcing it. We're enforcing it on a daily basis. We're not taking our legs off the accelerator on that at all.
Okay, Honorable Commissioner, it takes only a passionate person about Lagos to actually reel out all that you've done here today. So I would like to probe a little into your growing up in Lagos. Where were you born in Lagos?
I was not born in Lagos.
Okay.
I'm a Lagosian. I'm from Epe.
Okay. So
Proudly from Epe.
did you grow up in Lagos?
A part of my life, yeah, Lagos.
Where?
Epe, that's my local boy.
So how was that local boy? How was it?
Typical young man growing up, rascally, but never took his eyes off the ball. Never ever. The academics must be top notch, but still have my way of being naughty with my friends. And went to Uniben afterwards, and yeah, back in Lagos.
Okay.
I started the early part of my life in River State, actually, Port Harcourt.
Oh.
And but Lagos is home.
Lagos is home. So what were those things that Lagos taught you that you exhibited in other places? I mean, you just talked about the rascal you, the adventure, the Lagos boy in you, in those places that you went to. What stood you out?
It's just my focus, my zeal, I believe, and I have this unwavering conviction in God and in myself. That if you put your mind to something, you can do it. And that's the way I've come into the Ministry of Environment and Water Resources.
Okay.
Yes. Will there be challenges? Oh, yes. But can we address those challenges collectively as a team? I'll tell you, oh, yes. And that's the way I have always taken life. We're going to have our low moments. It's a journey. But then we have our high moments. We'll celebrate it together. And that's what makes you a Lagosian, really. Happy, jolly, good fellow.
If you are telling us now that you were rascally in those days, what were those pranks that you played?
You don't want to know.
Share one, just one.
Oh, my friends that know.
They
They're
know.
watching this program.
Maybe you just want to give them one signal that so that they'll remember
No,
that.
they know.
They know.
They know.
They know.
They know.
HC, do you socialize?
Good question. Do I? Yes, but in the past few years, it has really gone down so drastically. When I was younger, I do a lot.
Okay.
Like
My weekend starts on Wednesday.
Not Friday.
No, not Friday. And I tell people I used to work hard and I play harder.
Oh.
But with time, I had no time for those anymore. I seldom go to parties these days. I seldom go to parties. There's always work to do. I feel bad at times. I have to call some of my friends up. Guys, what's even happening? We have abandoned you to your work. So, but that's life. It's a phase. But I used to party a lot. I used to enjoy. I love traveling and I love football. Love traveling a lot. But also with time, things have changed in the country. To go to a neighboring state, you have to read your Psalm 23 like 100 times. If you're not careful.
Are you an Arsenal or Madrid fan?
Oh my goodness.
I hate Arsenal.
You didn't even like.
No, I hate
That
Arsenal.
question was deliberate.
You hate Arsenal. So what?
Arsenal is a mediocre London, not London.
Oh my God, Arsenal fans. Sorry. So
I'm a Madrid man.
I know.
And that's the most successful
Spaniard.
but that's the most successful football club in the world. By all standard. We are not as old as Arsenal, but we have 15 Champions League.
See, you're not personalizing it. We.
Yeah.
We.
I'm a
There are Arsenal fans in the studio.
You're a stakeholder.
I'm a stakeholder. I pay. I'm a registered Madrid man.
Oh wow.
So it's not just about mouth. All those English clubs are overhyped. Let me even put them the same way. Same
All of
basket.
them. Oh my.
Minus
So
Chelsea.
he said all English clubs.
Minus Chelsea, please.
Chelsea, Bawo.
Jibola, don't let him
They are
talk.
mentioning animals that have on.
That's not fair. That's a low one.
Chelsea, Bawo now.
You these Spanish
You won
people
Champions League.
say.
I won Champions League.
We won twice, Abi.
Yeah.
I won 15.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. We are both winners.
You're like Arsenal.
Like Arsenal.
Jay, do you have a question about his Lagos?
Well, you know, looking at what you've been through in life, and then what advice would you have for the younger ones, that boy, that girl, you know, who is looking up to you, you know, what advice do you have for them? What were the values that you held on to and has made you who you are today?
You see, there are some values that people don't espouse, but I believe in them. I believe in God. I believe there's a greater being that does have a say and authority in whatever we do in life and whatever we become. I also believe your destiny is in your hands. God will give you a right to choose. But whatever you choose now depends on you. I believe strongly that there's no alternative to hard work. You must work hard. For the young man and young woman out there, the values that we used to espouse growing up was that of it takes a village to train a child. You need to let us go back to that, kind of those values. I see no reason why parents can't reprimand their children for doing what is wrong. Your child goes to a place, comes back with whatever is not his or ours, and instead of you to ask questions, you help the child to hide. Your child is not a launderer and is coming home with people's clothes. You should know that your child is a thief.
Right.
Those values were values that made some of us. Even when you are rascally, your focus is still on your academics, and your rascality is limited to those little pranks of a young man growing up. But things have changed. Things have changed so much so that I hear of parents going to bribe teachers for children's pass mark. I hear of parents reprimanding teachers for reprimanding their children. I hear of parents forming a group of Yahoo parents because their children are doing Yahoo. What kind of child do you want that person to be in future? It's for all of us. Our religious houses have also lost the glamour. It's not about posterity. It's not about prosperity. It's about now. What messages are you pushing out? It's not about telling people that you prosper if you know. It's about speaking those values that we grew up to know. Be your neighbor's keeper. Love your neighbor as yourself. If you love your neighbor, you won't go and steal from your neighbor.
Absolutely.
These are strong values. But when the religious artists have become more of prosperity message-driven places, it sends a wrong signal.
Right.
It means anybody can go out there and make money and becomes acceptable in society. It doesn't have to be that way. So these are the values I think we need to find a way to bring back. Our moral instruction in schools. Let parents also create time for their children. Yeah, things are tough. Cost of living crisis is real, it's global. But you must find a way to create a balance for your children. Because, like I said, there's a time you are old, you can't walk. It's that bed you fail to do in the morning. You come to lie on it. And for the children, take ownership. Ask questions. Don't short-circuit a journey. It doesn't end well most times. Believe in the values of hard work. Invest so much in yourself. Invest in your education. With education, you don't have to be rich overnight.
Right.
But you have a reassurance that you'll not be hungry. Everything being equal.
Right. Any particular song you like? I know you are big on the Yoruba language.
Very, very.
So, you'd like to sing for us?
My voice is not good.
It doesn't matter. We got that. We just want you to. Don't worry. If it's a song that we know, we'll help you.
We'll back you up.
You ever heard about a musician called Yusuf Olatunji?
Oh, yeah, go ahead. You have a fan here.
Arsenal fan.
He's here. Don't let him know he's an Arsenal fan.
Funny enough, he's not my best of my artists too.
Thank you.
Oh.
My best of Yoruba artists, I can't even separate between Obi and Sonny. I have all their numbers, but Yusuf has a number, volume 17.
Which is?
Yegede. Ẹsẹ̀ tó pé wọ́n gé láfihàn yìí o. Yegede wọ́n ò gé òwe. Adébísí ni ò jẹ́ o. That's Adébísí Ìdíòsèrè. Yegede wọ́n ò gé òwe. So that's the Yusuf number I like a lot. But left for me, it's Obi and Sonny.
So.
Cholera, mama.
So apt at this particular
That's
moment. Before we allow you to go, Honorable Commissioner, what is it about Lagos that anytime you think about or anytime you see resonates wherever?
That's okay. I tell people wherever I go in the world, if I'm out of Lagos for max 10 days, I become restless. I become so restless. I have to find a way of connecting back
To Lagos.
to Lagos. Is that Lagos is a city that is bubbling, it's full of life, it's energetic. The energy can drive anything.
Right.
And what we need to do is harness the energy to be positive. The nightlife, which some of us are not used to anymore. The youths are out there doing stuff, creative, receptive, because very receptive. And Lagos bears so much prosperity. Amunilueko.
Tiolegbe. All right. We do hope that you've had a good time on the program today, and you'll do us the honor of coming back again.
I'll try.
Okay. You will try. That's not promising, but we'll hold on to the you will try. So anytime we call on you, we'll use that. But you said you will try.
Yes, I promise.
All right. Thank you so much, Honorable Commissioner.
Thanks for having me, guys.
For coming on
Thanks,
the program
madam.
today. All right, of course, we've been speaking with the Commissioner for Environment and Water Resources, and he's taking us through some of those things, of course, that his ministry does in the city of Lagos. And of course, I'm sure you've also had a little peep into what makes Lagos tick for him. We'll take a short break. The conversation returns.
Lagos State government is charged with the responsibility of looking after the welfare of the people and then, promoting economic growth and development, through various initiatives and projects. The financial requirements for providing these social, physical, and economic projects or infrastructures that will jumpstart Lagos State is very enormous. And as a result of that, there's a need to generate adequate revenue to meet these objectives. And like we all know, in Lagos State does not have oil. The biggest potential, resource-wise for now in Lagos State is land. Land use charge is a revenue area for Lagos State government. And what we wanted the states, particularly the property owners, to know is that they have a civic responsibility to paying their property taxes, because this land use charge is another name for it is property tax. Mr. Governor has been magnanimous enough to give them 15% discount. If you pay, you get 15% discount. These are all things that were put in place to help them to be able to, perform that. We do not want to burden anybody, but we also would like people to know that this tax is not on the masses.